Welcome to Number One Geek. This time we're talking with my friend Tony Johnson here, and we're going to be talking about X-Wing, the board game. Tony is a good friend of mine who is from the United States of America, so you'll have to forgive the fact that he's on his car phone at the moment, so there is going to be a little bit of sound difference between the two of us. Hi Tony, how you doing, mate?
Pretty good, brother. How are you doing?
I'm okay. Right, Tony. Before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of that, are there any groups or anything that you want to put a shout out to, just so that people who are listening to this video cast be able to follow up on?
Facebook's a great aspect for finding groups. So if you don't have a group, doing a search, you'd be surprised what you find out there. Team Covenant is they've got their own YouTube channel, and they do a lot of open box reviews, record some of their games. They're really insightful and entertaining at the same time, very helpful in learning the game. They do have a YouTube channel, and they also have a store where they have some pretty awesome X-Wing stuff. You know, not to pitch their product, but it's some really cool stuff.
The whole point of Number One Geek is that people get to find resources and be able to find out the different types. I mean, the reason we're talking about X-Wing is because both you and I have an interest in X-Wing. I don't know about you, but the first time I opened the box of X-Wing, it was a mind-blowing experience for me. It was just like how they get these models so well done at such a small size. It's just I have to admit, the one thing, I mean, I'm not much of a player, but I do like the aesthetic of having X-Wing models. You tournament, is that right?
I do. I also play a casual scene. I prefer the casual scene, but I do the tournament circuit. Still considering the tournament circuit very new, but I've come up with some pretty good lists and been pretty successful so far. It's funny, you talk about the aesthetics of the models. I love that aspect too, because I used to be a Warhammer 40k player, and having to paint and put together the models was very exhausting, and they were expensive. And then when I get a ship for like $14, $15, and it comes with upgrades, it's astronomical how much I'm paying compared to what I'm getting.
It's funny you should say that, actually, because I used to be a Warhammer painter myself as well. And from a child, I think with Games Workshop, I've always considered them as almost like the child's introduction to wargaming. And the one thing that always used to irritate me, as you say, was the painting stuff. But now I'm a bit older, I've just had a game called Zombicide, which is a Kickstarter game that was back in 2014. And you have loads and loads and loads of models on there. So I thought, I don't know, I'll give it a go. I'll give it some painting. And I'll tell you what, it's actually quite therapeutic now. Now you're a lot older. I think what it might be is that back in the early days, you know, you just wanted to get out and play and stuff like that, and there was always that rule where you've got to have at least like 60% of your squad painted to make it legal on the board and stuff like that. You know? So it kind of put me off, and the prices and the attitude of all that put me off. But I can see where that can affect people, and the fact that you have a game that you can play straight out the box that looks good is always going to be a benefit.
Yeah, it's just like when you get the expansion, you're ready to have a little intro game right there. But the game's super addicting. Yeah, I'm addicted. Like this is a crack addiction that I can't sedate. I do not go into the shop with my card and my wallet just because I know I'm going to buy stuff. Whether I have it or not, I'm like, I need another ship. Having one of a ship is never enough.
You should see my Amazon wanted list. It's like a who's who of Star Wars and Zombicide. It's one of those things that when you get yourself into something, you do commit yourself. But what about the downsides? What would you say is possibly the worst aspect from your experience in X-Wing?
Well, the worst aspect is the X-Wing scene is becoming very tournament heavy. And just like in 40K, you get players who it's tournament style all the time. And it really depends on your community. I mean, you've got to have players who understand that. When I first started playing, I was in a community, that's how they were. And I got beat down every weekend. I don't think I won a game for like 2 or 3 months. It was really sad. Now, it did force me to, I have a little stronger fortitude than some. And so I just kept buying ships, finding the right combinations, and I was patient. And now I whoop these guys all the time, but I don't really go to that shop anymore. But that's what is always going to ruin the format of a game, is the competitive side. So you got to find a balance. You find that great list, don't play it all the time. I've got my Defender and Interceptor list, that's my tournament list. I got another one on the side that I'm working on, but I haven't perfected it yet. But it does involve Whisper, which is starting to see a lot of love and a lot of lists. The end all to it is you've got to find a good balance between competitive and casual, and some of the epic play. I mean, it's fun to put just ships out there, not really at random, but ships that you wouldn't fly normally because you don't really have the point composition. So I think that's the big drawback to X-Wing is some communities don't know where to find the balance between casual and competitive.
Do you know what? I've always found that there's always fun to be had in the basic skirmish game that you get at the start, that you get with the basic box sets. I've never found a situation where someone has played that and said that they haven't enjoyed playing it, because it catches a lot of the thematic parts in there. It also captures a lot of the gameplay rules and stuff like that, and you think, oh yeah, that's really quite cool and so forth. But I kind of agree with you on the fact that I actually like playing X-Wing with people who don't know what they're doing, because they're there to have fun. They're not there to analyse and critically work out how to defeat the person with the best scores. I mean, this is I think the personal downside for X-Wing is definitely the one where they sell the box sets, so you can buy yourself another TIE fighter, and in that set, what you're really paying for is this card that makes your TIE fighters absolutely awesome. So buying the basic blister box sets of models that you really don't really need, only to buy a card that will make you champion of the tournaments, that kind of irritates me. The other thing that kind of irritates me as well is that whenever you have some sort of system, you always have that person that tries to analyse, break it down, and troll the system, I suppose. I mean, I'm pretty sure you're pretty much aware of the Han and Chewie 2 Millennium Falcon trick that a lot of people have been using to win.
Yeah, and if you get players that are trying to break the physics of the game, the triple jump masters, that's another one. It's funny, I see people bunker themselves down in the corner. I've seen that where they're just kind of bumping into each other just because they're trying to control the movement of the game and they don't want to put themselves out there. And I'm kind of a different player. I want to go out and fly because to me that's the bread and butter of X-Wing is flying. And I think some players they get too competitive and they miss it. My style probably, when I started going to some regional tournaments, which I plan to this 2017, let's just be fair. I may not win because I probably won't. But I may not play so high because I'm not gonna play safe. I'm gonna fly my ship because I'm still in the dogfight mode. I'm still loving the ships, and luckily I have a good community that all feel the same way. We don't try to break the system. We try to outfly each other, and I think that's what it boils down to.
Well, yeah, I mean it's very much along the lines of how much flavour do you want out of it, and unfortunately there are some people. I mean, for instance, I remember playing a game with my friend John and some other guy who we'd met through the internet, and we were playing Borderlands 2. Now, John and I just started playing this game, so we were kind of like wanting to take our time, get through the storyline, understand what the principles was. But this guy had beaten it like 3 or 4 times, and he was just rushing straight through it, and it just felt like I was just being dragged through, and it lost all its flavour for me. I couldn't get myself immersed in the game, because all that mattered to this one person was getting the job done, going there, finishing that part there. And I think if anybody, from my personal point of view, if you want to play X-Wing, play it to play some Star Wars shooty sort of thing. Don't play it to win an exercise in Sun Tzu's Art of War. It's not that sort of game. It loses itself. You might as well make it Star Trek or Babylon 5 if all you're going to do is play the game for the rules. You got to play the game for the flavour as well, and enjoy the moments. I mean, having one X-Wing versus 2 TIE fighters like in the basic game, that adds a certain amount of trickery and tasks, and it also, it's pretty much goes 50-50 either way as to who's going to come out on top. If I'm in a film and I'm watching this, this dogfight going on, how entertaining would it be for me to watch? And I see X-Wing from that perspective as opposed to the tactical perspective, which is why you'll never find me in a tournament. I don't get on well with that particular sort of geek.
When you immerse yourself into it, reading the wiki, I'll see the pilots and I'm like, I'm going to go to Wikipedia because I want to read about the pilots, because some of them you get to read about. Some of them are very bland, but some of them you're like, oh, that's really cool. I'm flying with this guy. And, you get guys from the movies like Wedge or Luke, and I still, every once in a while, I'm on an Imperial pilot primarily, but every once in a while, I'll throw stuff out there of did a B-Wing X-Wing list because I wanted to throw something back from one of the earlier waves, and it was fun. You know, the guys in my shop were, wow, this is kind of cool. You know, we don't see a lot of the old school stuff. And it listed really well because it broke the meta for the night because people weren't expecting a crit build with Tin Nub and then Wedge. It just made everything really interesting for the rest of the night. And I mean, we've got some of our guys that are really competitive, but they also understand the need of, you know, our Friday or Saturday game night. It's all about going out, having some fun, and it's the journey. If all you're worried about is winning, well, you lose the aspect right out the get-go of the meat of the whole game.
What you take out of X-Wing is what you take out of X-Wing. I mean, me, I'm more of an Imperial player as well because I just kind of like the ships. One thing that I really do kind of like doing is trying to keep my TIE squadron in a formation and try to get them to fly together, because that takes a certain amount of coordination between you and them. And the even better part is if there's more than one of you trying to play in a TIE squadron and you're trying to stay in coordinated flight. There's nothing funnier than watching two idiots trying to keep their TIE fighters close together so that they've got an advantage over say like a Millennium Falcon. So you know, more guns on one ship is best when it comes to TIE fighters. But in the end, it all boils down to whether you can work out how to turn your ship, how to move your ship in a formation, and also watching out for big rocks and other ships on the way past as well. So yeah, it's whatever you take out of it, really.
It really is. I love that aspect too because my friends always tell me one of my weaknesses in my list is I like to fly in formation. So I'm predictable in some aspects. I've kind of thrown them for a loop the last 4 or 5 games where I stopped doing that with my Defender interceptor list and kind of, I mean, one game I completely spread out the entire field. I had them all spread out just to see what they would do. But it's a challenge. The strength of flying an Imperial ship is I've got to outfly and be really evasive. Whereas when Rebels, you know, I want to push my guns down someone's throat because I've got the shields and I can win the war of attrition. It's actually why I jumped from Rebels to Imperials because I like the challenge.
What would you say is the best part of the rule system in the game? What do you think? How do you think it makes? How does it make the game so thematic?
It's the flow of the game, the flow of the rules. It's really simple. Like, I play Star Wars Armada, too, and it's taken me a little while to get the hang of that one, because there's a lot of moving parts if you're running a fleet in that one. This game, it's really simple. You know, you've got your, go to the dials, and we got our activation phase, which is where you check your actions and you move. And then you've got your combat phase. And it's really that simple. What makes the game flow so well is these ships fly like you think they will fly. Like, Fantasy Flight took some time to think of, you know, if you're flying a Y-Wing, you're essentially driving a Cadillac. Whereas, you know, you drive a TIE Interceptor, an A-Wing, or, you know, the new Fang Fighters, driving, you know, a Ferrari. You're turning on rails. You're fast, you're agile, but you're also very fragile. I like how they really took that approach to the game because they really balanced the game.
I'll tell you what. I was an avid player of Star Wars Galaxies back in the day when it was good, before they put the new gaming experience in and ruined it for everybody. And, I got the Jump to Lightspeed expansion pack for it, and I was quite lucky that I managed to find a group of people who helped me do the final mission, so I ended up having the YT-1300 as my final ship. But the whole process on that one and all the ships that you went through, I was pleasantly surprised to see that a lot of those ships have made their way into X-Wing.
Yeah, that's been a lot of fun for me. Just seeing some ships, like I flew on the Rebel side, and I flew the ARC 170, and I was really big into reverse engineering, so I had a pretty beastly ARC 170 in Galaxies. My ship, you know, I had my gunner, and we were beastly. We'd fly in a swarm of fight, and we'd just start picking people off with me flying in my gunner. And when I saw, I would always say, man, I want the ARC 170 to come out. And when I saw the ship come out, I bought 3 right out the gate. This is what I love about them is they're bringing ships that we want to see.
The other thing that brings this game up a lot more is the fact that Lucasfilm have kept proper records of what the ships are, what size they're supposed to be. It took me a while to realise that Slave 1 is supposed to be the same size as Millennium Falcon. I didn't know that, but apparently that's the case.
I remember when me and you talked, and I was asking him, what ship should I get into first? And he gave me the advice, and I picked them up, and I was just looking at the ships, like, oh my gosh, I need more of these. And so I want to thank you. My addiction started with our conversations many years ago.
Yes, folks, this is my fault. It's always my fault.
And then I've taken it to a completely another level.
Have you been on eBay recently?
I have, and I've actually utilized it a couple times.
Do you think it's a good thing that people are basically taking packs, splitting them up and selling the cards on? Is it a good thing, or is it just basically people just monopolising on that tactical need to win?
I think it's a good thing because there's, like, for Tie Swarm, I like Youngster in my Tie Swarm, and he allows ships 1 to 3 to use his EVT. So I give him Predator, and I run Howlrunner with him, and it's, I've got 2 ships that can provide pretty much every ship with Predator. So that definitely helps because, I want to maximize the shots with my Tie Swarm. And it's just, there are a lot of interesting things, The problem I see on eBay is some people understand that, you're not going to be able to, like, Palpatine, his card's like $40, I think last time I checked. And I'm like, well, that's a little ridiculous, but the only way you get that card is by buying the Raider, which I may pick up this weekend. I probably will, actually, now I mention that, because Palpatine's one of the ships I need in my list, and the only reason I haven't bought the Raiders, I have nowhere to put it. I tell people, if you go to eBay and you want a specific card, and it's only a little bit under the ship, just buy the ship.
Is sit back and spend all this money when you're going to buy the ship eventually.
I take it you've got out your car now.
I'm out of my car for just for a moment, then I got to get back in it. But.
Yeah, so the sudden improvement in your voice has made you out of your car now.
It's very majestic, I know.
If someone said, Tony, I want to get into X-Wing, I don't know what to do, what would you recommend?
Right now, getting the Force Awakens starter set is probably the most important thing, because it has the new damage deck, which is what everyone's using. Fly the ships that you like. You don't have to sit back and fly what everyone else likes. Start out with flying what you like. Take your time, look into it, and explore the aspect of all the ships out there. This isn't like a game of Warhammer where it's going to take you a while to get in the saddle. You're ready to play this game as soon as you get those first few expansions.
Some people think that playing or learning the ships via the wave is a good way of going through it, because it's almost as though it's the way that Fantasy Flight have introduced the game to you, and introduced the next complexity and the next change in the way that the rules work, and the next change in the rules. So it's going from the base rules, then here's a little twist on the rules, here's the next twist on the rules, and here's the next twist on the rules, but you're getting cool ships while you're doing it. That's apparently that's one way that some people have said that you should do that. What do you think of that idea?
It's not a bad idea, because you're getting ships as they're getting ships as they come out, and you can kind of start collecting your wave little by little. And it's not a bad way to do it, because it allows you to really catch up in a really slow-paced manner, and not a very expensive manner either.
X-Wing versus Armada, which one's better?
Oh, well, I just started Armada, so of course X-Wing is going to win for me. But if you like the fleet battles, Armada's your game. I'm just now getting involved into it, but I absolutely love the aspect of what the game provides, because it gives you a different aspect of those fleet battles.
Once again, I adore the models. I absolutely think they're fantastic models. They've really knocked the ball out of the park on there. But the whole 6 goes, or 6 rounds sort of thing, it kind of feels rushed to me. It's quite obvious.
It does kind of have that rushed feeling, and that is a little bit where I'm disappointed, because I feel like they missed the mark. But I will say 6 rounds did seem. I was able to get a lot done in 6 rounds.
Oh no, don't get me wrong. I mean, you've got your fighters and so forth out there, and I'm pretty sure that the game will come to a natural conclusion within that. I just feel that within the game, I mean, me and my mate, we gave it a go. I've got it upstairs. Played it once, and it's never come out of the box since. No one's kind of said, unlike X-Wing, no one's kind of said, well, let's have another go at Armada sort of thing. I mean, we very rarely board game, war game anyway. Mostly it's just board games and role plays that we do, simply because of space, really. But
yeah,
me and my friend played Armada. I think I was the Rebels, he was the Empire, and it was a close call game. I must admit, it was getting a bit hairy at certain points, but we were still fighting, and then round 6 came along, and that was it. Find out who did the most damage, and they're the ones who won, and it's just kind of like, I know the reason why. As me and my friend were discussing, is you've got to try to get a different feel to a fleet battle than to a skirmish, and that's the difference between the two. X-Wing is a skirmish game. Armada is a big epic battle.
I think Armada, if you're looking for the more tactical game, this is it. If you're looking for the dogfight, got to make split moment decisions, X-Wing is your game. So it just really depends. But I encourage everyone to try both. Now, Armada is a little bit more expensive to get into initially because it is $100 for the expansion. But you get enough ships to run the beginning scenario, and split it with a friend. Find a friend as a, hey man, you get the Imperial ships and I get the Rebel ships. And it's a win for both sides.
There has been a discussion about the fact is the problem with Armada is that you have to buy 2 of the box set to actually get the most out of the game. I can kind of see what they're saying there because you get one Star Destroyer and several Rebel ships, and that's all you get. It's not quite. It doesn't quite work the same way as the 2 TIE Fighters versus the X-Wing, and I think that's probably where they might have gone a bit awry on that one, is that you didn't have enough models in the basic set to allow you to work into enjoying the game a lot more.
Yeah, I think that's where they lost it. Where they kind of lost. That's the one thing where I think Fantasy Flight's done a great job. The stuff they've created is, oh my gosh, it's phenomenal. I mean, they've gotten really smart. But the disappointing part is I feel like they missed the mark with how much they charge to get an Armada, because it's such a great game that I wish more people would play. The problem is you've got to get, you don't have enough to play. I think it's 400 points is the standard list. That's kind of your, not just your tournament list, but that's kind of like the standard of what you want to play. And you've got to get certain amount of ships, and you just don't have enough in the starter set. And even when you get the squadron packs, you're not getting just X-Wings. You're getting X-Wings, Y-Wings, and B-Wings. And you want more, say you were on heavy X-Wing. Well, you've got to buy that starter pack multiple times to get the amount of X-Wings you want. Instead of just buying an X-Wing squadron pack, you've got to buy it a couple times just to get what you want to get.
Just so everybody understands, the base game of Star Wars Armada is $99.95, so it's basically $100 for the base start game of Star Wars Armada. If we look at it from the X-Wing point of view, the base game we're here is either the Force Awakens or the X-Wing's core set, $39.95, and you seem to get more of a game out of it for $39.95 than you do for $100. So the question is it the price point? Is there any way that they could have made it cheaper, or do you think it's just a question of, I mean, are they cashing in on the success of X-Wing, or is it just you think that the models are so complicated and so well done that they demand that price point?
The ships are bigger, and if you look at the Millennium Falcon, Fire Spray, the YT-2400, they are about $30-40 ships. I feel like, you know what, you could have had 2 box sets, Armada Rebels and Armada Imperials, to cut down on that. And yeah, you could start starter set, but this isn't a game you're going to play by yourself. So I feel like you could have brought the price down to really make it more enticing. I'm not a marketing manager for any of these companies, though I am in retail, and I'm always thinking, how can I get someone to buy something that's expensive?
Well, if we're looking at it from practical sense, right? For the $100 that you can get, if you market yourself out, you can get 3 box sets of X-Wing, which gives you 6 TIE Fighters and 3 X-Wings. That's a good enough set to start off anybody on a group session with more than one player.
Yeah.
Whereas I think the other thing is Armada is also very much a 2-player game. It's not really broadened itself out to allow more than one person, or one person to take one ship, or one person to take another ship. But I appreciate what they've done, but I think Armada is a lot more of a miss than the X-Wing, in my personal opinion.
I agree. I feel like X-Wing's a better game. You get more out of it. And getting 3 box sets, it's always nice to have those extra dice, because you're going to lose some. You're going to throw some massive amount of die as you get more cards. And if someone's interested in running a TIE Swarm, I run 7 TIE Fighters in my TIE Swarm. That's not too bad to have 6 starting out. That means $14 more. You've got a list that you can run in a tournament.
On that note, what I'll do is I'm just going to say thank you very much, Tony, for having a chat with me about X-Wing. I hope everybody else enjoyed it.
All right, I really appreciate you bringing me on. Again, talking to X-Wing, I can talk all day about it.
So there we have it. A bit of a discussion from X-Wing. Apologies about the sound and things, but obviously people have work to do, and they're in their car and stuff like that. If you enjoyed what you listened to, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to leave a comment down below, please do so. And we'll have some great fun. Thank you very much for listening to Number One Geek. So it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Tony.